Don't let YouTube decide what information you get. That's your choice. YouTube is deleting our videos and cuts you off from a source of honest reporting. Make sure you don't lose access to NTD's news content, and take a quick moment to subscribe to our newsletter so no matter what happens here, you'll keep your access to a trustworthy news source.
A Michigan court has sided with 4 Christian female athletes, issuing a temporary restraining order against their university's vaccine policy. This after the university refused to grant the athletes religious exemptions. NTD's Grace Coulter has the story.
4 Christian female soccer players have won the first round in their suit against Western Michigan University. They allege WMU is violating their constitutional rights by requiring they get vaccinated or be dropped from the soccer team. The university required all athletes to get vaccinated against the CCP virus by Tuesday or be banned from intercollegiate sports. In a letter, WMU told the women the reason for the mandate and for overriding their request for a religious exemption was to avoid the risk of a COVID-19 outbreak due to unvaccinated participants. On Tuesday, U.S. District Court Judge Paul Maloney granted the 4 women a temporary restraining order, allowing them to remain on the team while their case is litigated. Maloney's order stated that the women's case had merit, writing that they've established a likelihood of success on their claim that WMU's denial of a religious exemption violates their right to free exercise of religion. Their case is set to be heard in the state's federal building on September 9th. Grace Coulter, NTD News.
San Francisco may soon pay people not to commit crimes. This is part of the city's efforts to reduce crimes and gun violence, but some people are skeptical. Here's NTD's Eileen Ang with more.
San Francisco is considering a new crime prevention strategy. It may offer cash incentives for not committing crimes. People in the program, called the Dreamkeeper Fellowship, would receive $300 a month to start. They can earn an additional $200 for meeting certain milestones, like getting a job interview or abiding with probation. Lou Barberini, a former police officer with the San Francisco Police Department, sees it as a social experiment.
If there's no consequence for someone committing a crime, it doesn't remove the incentive to be violent. So I don't know how dangling $300 in front of people is going to stop their behavior, and or how they're going to know who to give it to. Are they just going to give it to everybody or just the shooters? And how are they going to monitor that? How are they going to know if someone didn't shoot? If they're wearing a mask, how are you going to know if that was the person that shot or not? It's not like these people, posted on Facebook immediately, I shot someone.
Barberini believes the city government is stuck.
Prosecution would be a great start, because every shooter is not, they're just not getting prosecuted right now. They're getting sent to diversion and mental health court and things like that.
Some people in the city are also skeptical of the idea.
Do you think that's actually going to help the place? I don't know. Not to say that these people who are making these rules are bad or anything like that. I just don't think there's any proof that thing's going to work. That's going to actually deter people from doing anything bad from crime and stuff. Are you going to give $500 to everyone else who hasn't been a criminal? How's that going to work? It just sounds like it's not going to work.
I really think it's silly. It's just ridiculous. Yeah, it's that what they should do already. That why would you even need to pay somebody for them to not commit crime? That's just ridiculous.
It will be funded through the Dreamkeeper Initiative, a program that aims to move $120 million from law enforcement into the city's Black and African American community over the next 2 years. A large portion of the first $60 million will go towards health and well-being, housing, workforce training, and guaranteed income. The program is set to start in October. Eileen Ang, NTD News, California.
A board of supervisors on the West Coast approved a settlement on Tuesday to a church that remained open during California's lockdown orders. The board referenced the Supreme Court's strike on banning indoor church services, as well as the easing of lockdown mandates in June. Here are the details.
Los Angeles County settled a lawsuit out of court to pay $400,000 to Grace Community Church. The state of California will reportedly match that amount, totaling $800,000 to the Southern California Church. The church's lawyer said in a Twitter post that she's pleased with the approval and that it's a total win for the church. The church's pastor, John MacArthur, said it appears that the county wants to settle this because they do not want a trial. In July 2020, California officials ordered 30 counties across the state to stop holding worship services. But several churches continue to leave their doors open during the lockdown, citing First Amendment rights and religious freedom. MacArthur countersued the governor and mayor a month later, declaring that his church has a moral and religious obligation to continue allowing congregates to gather to worship.
Now may be the time to stock up on warm clothing. The 2022 edition of the Old Farmer's Almanac is forecasting an extra chilly winter for Americans this year. They've dubbed the season of shivers. The Almanac predicts below average temperatures across most of the U.S. It says we can expect to see an extremely wintry mix with snowfall on areas in New England, the Ohio Valley, southeast New Mexico, and even northern parts of the Deep South. The Almanac's editor says this winter could well be one of the longest and coldest that we've seen in years. One World Trade Center is standing tall and proud as one of the world's most magnificent buildings. But it wasn't easy getting here. 20 years ago, the world was devastated when the original Twin Tower buildings were brought to the ground by the 9/11 terrorist attacks.
Hijackers from the terrorist group Al-Qaeda destroyed the Twin Towers on September 11, 2001.
Make everyone aware that we're going to be seeing some pain.
The terrorist attack killed nearly 3,000 innocent lives that day. Developer Larry Silverstein had just signed a $3 billion lease for the Twin Towers. It was 6 weeks before the towers fell.
So that was excruciatingly difficult circumstance. Terrible, terrible time.
Silverstein decided to rebuild after the attacks, but it hasn't been easy. He was already 70 at the time and was planning to retire.
We were in the middle of a 5-year litigation with 22 insurance companies to collect $4.5 billion, which the courts said we were entitled to. And they wouldn't pay. I said, I'm not a stopper. I said, you're not going to convince me that way. I'm a New Yorker. I'm here to get this done.
Silverstein had the support of his wife. After a $2 billion settlement in 2007, things started moving forward.
We built this one, got this one done. It became financially, commercially, architecturally superb success, terrific success.
Today, the World Trade Center complex houses 4 skyscrapers, the Oculus Transportation Hub, and the 9/11 Memorial and Museum.
And we're still not finished. But since I'm only 90, no rush, I have plenty of time.
2 more skyscrapers are on the way, along with a performing arts center and a national shrine. Phil Zhou, NTD News, New York.
Hundreds of thousands in Ukraine were killed during Stalin's repression. Now, near the city of Odessa, excavation work has begun on what could be one of the biggest mass graves from that dark period. NTD's Trevor Piper has more on this.
Researchers began excavating near Ukraine's southern city of Odessa at what could be one of the country's largest Stalin-Era mass grave sites.
We hope to find over 8,000 people here who were condemned by the NKVD Special Troika to be shot.
The graves under what was until recently a rubbish dump were discovered last month during construction work for an airport. Historians estimate hundreds of thousands of people in Ukraine were killed in the 1930s during a period known as the Great Terror under communist dictator Joseph Stalin, and 40,000 in the Odessa region alone.
There are coins made in 1938 to 1939. We did not find coins issued later. It can be assumed that these coins belong to those who were buried in those graves.
He says preparation should be finished at the end of the year, then exhumation work would start. Archaeologists want to find out if victims were killed at the site or if their bodies were brought to the graves after execution.
People should see that our country is also striving not to close these difficult pages of its history, not to hide it, but to show the whole world. And this, above all, is our duty to those who died here.
Odessa's mayor says the city plans to erect a memorial at the site. Trevor Piper, NTD News.
If you've always wanted to meet a celebrity, then you might want to change your next travel destination. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson might have moved to Alabama. NTD's Arian Pazdar has the story.
Pretty sure that's Dwayne Johnson shooting his latest movie, right? Wrong. Meet Lieutenant Eric Fields of the Morgan County Sheriff's Office. He is going viral for looking just like the famous actor, and he told me that fame is actually helping with his job.
And yes, I do take pictures. They do want to take pictures, and that's what I want to be. I want to be approachable. You know, now when I go out, they recognize me from everything that's happened, and it gives me, especially as a law enforcement officer, a good relationship and able to make contact with my community in a positive manner.
Eric's two kids, even though they're still young, have also realized that their daddy is in the spotlight now.
I've got a 7- and a 6-year-old, and my oldest asked me just the other day, yesterday actually, he said, "Daddy, who's cooler, you or The Rock?" I said, "Well, that's the eye of the beholder."
Dwayne Johnson himself decided to be the judge of that. He tweeted a picture montage of the two and ruled that Eric is in fact the cooler guy.
So I read him what The Rock said, where he says the guy on the left, cooler. And he said, "The Rock thinks you're cooler, so you're the coolest guy in the world now, Daddy."
At one point, Eric asked God, what's the meaning behind this sudden fame? He decided to use his 5 minutes in the spotlight to support his colleague who is sick.
1 year out from retirement, good man, 49 years old, he's got wife and kids, and he's got this ALS that he's dealing with.
A GoFundMe has been set up for Sergeant Dillard to help him in his battle with ALS. Arian Pastar, NTD News.
Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Don't forget to catch all of our programs on TV. NTD Evening News is on every weekday at 6:30 p.m. Find your local NTD channel at ntd.com/TV.